All right, today we are diving deep into a really profound theological argument. It comes from a commentary on Surah Ar-Raʿd, which is the 13th chapter of the Qur'an. We're going to break down the very nature of prayer, who actually has the power to answer it, and what both revelation and our own reason have to say about the whole thing.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll define what exactly is meant by the call of truth. Then, we'll look at the argument for why praying to anyone but God is considered futile. After that, we're going to explore the idea of true ownership, the very specific rules around intercession, and finally, we'll see how logic itself is used to back up the main conclusion.
Okay, let's get right into it. To really get a handle on this entire line of reasoning, we have to start with the foundational idea that everything else is built on, this concept of the call of truth.
So the source text gives us this specific term, da'wat al-huk. Now this isn't just about any old prayer. It's defined as the one and only valid form of supplication. It's the call that is, by its very nature, true, which makes it the only one that actually deserves an answer. And critically, it's directed exclusively to God.
And this right here is the verse at the heart of the entire analysis. To him is the call of truth. It's a short phrase, but it's incredibly powerful. It sets up the core argument that the right to be called upon, to be prayed to, belongs to God and God alone.
So the text doesn't just leave it there. It immediately builds on this idea by creating a really sharp contrast. If there's a call of truth, then what's its opposite?
The analysis lays out this incredibly clear comparison. On one side, you have the call of truth. You're directed to God, and what happens? It's heard and it's responded to. But on the other side, any prayer, any supplication directed to anyone or anything else is labeled as falsehood. It's futile. By its very nature, it goes unanswered because, well, it's directed to those who are fundamentally powerless.
And to really drive this point home, the text gives us this vivid analogy. Just imagine someone who is dying of thirst. They're stretching their hands out toward water, trying to will it to come to their mouth, but it's never going to reach. The commentary argues that this is what it's like to pray to anyone besides God. It's an act of total desperation that, in the end, gives you absolutely nothing.
Then the text makes it crystal clear that this isn't just about a prayer going unanswered here and now. Oh no, it has massive, eternal consequences. On the day of judgment, the very beings or ideas that were worshipped won't just be unaware of the people who prayed to them, they will actively disown them.
So this leads us to the next layer of the argument. Why exactly are these other calls futile? The analysis connects it directly to the concepts of ownership and power. Who really holds the keys to the kingdom?
You see, the text basically anticipates this question. The futility isn't just some arbitrary rule. It's based on a fundamental reality about who actually has control over, well, anything in the entire universe.
And here's the crucial distinction. The text argues that God's ownership is real, it's absolute. Our ownership of our house, our money, even our own bodies is temporary, it's metaphorical. It's like a trust that's been granted to us. But those other beings worshipped besides God, they possess absolutely nothing. The text uses this amazing example of a kitmer, which is that paper-thin film on a date seed, to emphasize that they don't own even the most insignificant, worthless thing imaginable.
Now, all this talk about powerlessness naturally brings up another huge question, one that a lot of people think about. What about intercession? Can someone act as a go-between, an advocate for us?
This is a pretty central belief in many traditions, right? So what does the commentary have to say about it? Is there some kind of loophole here, a way for an intermediary to step in?
The answer we get is definitive. It's unambiguous. The default answer is simply no. No one has the independent power or authority to intercede. The only way it can happen is if, and only if, God himself grants explicit permission for it.
So the commentary lays out these very clear conditions. Intercession isn't some power that another being holds. It's a possession that belongs entirely to God. It's a privilege he might grant, not a right that anyone can claim or demand. In fact, the text identifies the belief that certain beings automatically have this power as one of the fundamental errors of polytheism.
Okay, so for the final piece of the puzzle, the analysis brings all of these points together. It argues that this conclusion isn't just something you have to take on faith from a holy book, it's also confirmed by our own logic and reason.
This part is fascinating. The commentary presents this elegant logical argument. It starts from a shared premise, that even people who worship other things often admit that, yes, God is the ultimate creator of everything. So the text then just asks a simple logical question.
If you admit who the ultimate creator is, why would you direct your worship to a piece of the creation? The argument is that reason itself shows you there's a fundamental contradiction there.
And this synthesis is really the capstone of the entire commentary. The argument isn't about faith versus logic. Instead, it demonstrates a perfect harmony. Both divine revelation in the Quran and human intellectual reasoning, when you follow them through, lead you to the exact same truth.
And so the source text concludes with this powerful, definitive statement of praise. It's the ultimate summary. After all the arguments from revelation and reason have been laid out, the only conclusion left, both logically and spiritually, is to direct all praise to God, the Lord of all existence.
And that leaves us with a final, really powerful thought to reflect on. If you have two completely distinct paths, divine scripture on one hand and human reason on the other, and they both converge on the exact same point, what does that tell us about the nature of truth itself? It's a pretty profound idea to think about.